My great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah.
This morning, a federal manhunt continues for the person who killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
So I think he left a big legacy. Obviously, it's going to shatter the family, but this is a big wound for this nation.
Wednesday, September the 10th, was a beautiful day at the Utah Valley University. Thousands of students gathered at an event to listen to and interact with Charlie Kirk, one of the most popular and influential young political leaders in America. He was the host of The Charlie Kirk Show and the founder of Turning Point USA. He was an outspoken political conservative and evangelical Christian. While Kirk was speaking to the crowd gathered to hear him, an assassin crept to the top of the building near the outdoor arena where the event was being held. Kirk had just finished answering a question when a single shot from 200 yards pierced his throat, killing him. He was answering questions under a tent that said, "Prove me wrong." His assassin couldn't, and so decided to shut him up. Charlie Kirk was married to his wife Erica and was the father of a precious son and daughter. He was 31 years old. This is a painful and shocking loss of mammoth proportions. Kirk was followed and admired by millions of people who appreciated his bold and articulate stand on issues of tremendous significance. Since Wednesday, I've heard from people all through my church and many across the country who feel devastated by this loss. News outlets have interviewed scores of influential men and women who were friends of Kirk who can barely believe what has happened. Of course, the greatest loss comes to his loving wife and two very young children. His precious wife is experiencing the worst season of her life, and his children are too young to even understand the tragedy that has befallen them. Everyone must pray, remembering the words of Psalm 34:18, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." This is a wonderful statement about the loving heart of our great God. God loves his people and is near them when they are hurting and in pain. This is a promise, and it is true. We can believe it and pray it boldly for all who are hurting. Those prayers will be answered. God will be near, and his presence will bring comfort and peace in the midst of this terrible loss. This is not just a time of grief, but is also a time for moral outrage. A Christian husband and father is dead for expressing his point of view about controversial matters. He was expressing those views under a tent that said, "Prove me wrong," but an assassin decided he couldn't prove him wrong, and so he shut him up. A culture where disagreement leads to personal destruction is one that is hateful and depraved. Matthew 5:21-22 says, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment.' But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment." Jesus' point is that the physical act of murder begins in the spiritual disposition of anger. Murders like this one are the sinister extension of the hatred that has been rising in our discourse for far too long. The trend of violence against ideological opponents is one that is growing in our country, not declining. It is all united by the terrible rage flooding the banks of corrupt human hearts, leading to the sinful destruction of life. This must stop. A society that cannot disagree without assassinations will drown in its own blood. Part of the solution to this problem is the pursuit of justice for the person or people guilty of this horrendous act. Obviously, the ultimate justice is divine justice. In Genesis 18:25, Abraham asks, "Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is right?" Every Christian knows the answer to that question is yes. But we also need to pursue human justice as we pursue and capture Charlie Kirk's assassin. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause." Those verses are commandments from a holy and righteous God demanding that those in authority must do everything possible to defend the cause of Charlie Kirk's children and widow who have been stripped of their loving father and husband. As I record these words, the assassin is still on the loose. We should all pray that the authorities are able quickly to apprehend and swiftly to punish everyone responsible. One of the most sobering realities about this terribly tragic event is the reminder of just how fleeting life is. On Wednesday morning, Charlie Kirk woke up, kissed his wife and family goodbye for the last time. He then went to work, not knowing he was about to meet God. It was all over so suddenly and surprisingly. If this can happen to a vibrant, successful, courageous young man, it can happen to any of us. It can happen to you. You should take a moment today and hug the ones you love. Tell them how much they mean to you. Take the opportunity to remember again just how precious a gift this wonderful life is. Charlie Kirk knew how fleeting and temporary it all was. He knew he needed a rock-solid hope that could carry him beyond his inevitable death into a world of joy, where grief, tears, loss, and pain are removed by Jesus himself. 4 days before he saw Jesus Christ with his eyes, Kirk posted on X, "Jesus defeated death so you can live." Those words are true, and Kirk learned them from Jesus, who said in John 11:25, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live." In this hard loss, I'm glad that Charlie Kirk is more certain of the wonder and glory of those words today in heaven than he was when he wrote them while he was still on earth. In this shocking season of grief, I'm praying for Charlie's friends, for the Kirk family, and I'm praying for you to have this kind of resurrection hope in Jesus that alone can extend our life beyond the futility of this earth into a glorious eternity with Jesus. That's the biggest story of the week. I'll see you next Friday when we examine next week's biggest headline.